Good evening and welcome to Kini News. Recently, there have been talks of a proposal for a National Operations Council or NOC-styled government similar to the one in 1969 being formed. This came following a video by the Prime Minister's aide yesterday. In a press conference today, former Premier Dr Mahathir Mohamad revealed that he had proposed setting up the NOC during his meeting with the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. He said this was to help solve the problems faced by the country.
Former Premier Dr Mahathir Mohamad said that he had proposed setting up a National Operations Council-style government, similar to the one that ruled the country from 1969 to 1971 after the May 13 riots, during his audience with the Yang di-Pertuan Agong today. In a press conference following his meeting, Mahathir said that although the Agong didn't say no, he said the proposal must come from the government.
What I do know is that the Agong did not reject it. He did not say no. But he says, in order to set up Mageran, the proposal must come from the government. Of course, I don't think the government is going to propose Mageran. So, at the moment, I don't think Mageran is going to be to happen at all.
When asked on who would lead the NOC, which is better known by its Malay acronym Mageran, this was Mahathir's reply.
Tony, when you suggested to form Mageran, who will lead Mageran then? The current Prime Minister, Tan Sri Muhyiddin, or are there any other candidates?
Didn't say who will be, but since I was there, I offered my services. If the government wants, I offered my services. But if the Mageran can only be formed on the proposal by the government, I doubt whether the government is going to propose to have Mageran. Certainly not with me around.
Yesterday, Marzuki Mohamad, the Principal Private Secretary to Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin, had uploaded a 10-minute video clip where he alleged that there were people suggesting that the Yang di-Pertuan Agong form a new Mageran. He argued that this was unnecessary as times were different and that the country was currently facing a health emergency rather than a security emergency which required a Mageran in 1969. Mahathir was one of 4 senior politicians who had an audience with the Agong today. Past Deputy President Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man, MCA President Wee Ka Siong, and Warisan President Shafi Abdal also had an audience with the ruler. Yesterday, the Agong met with Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin as part of a weekly pre-cabinet meeting, before then holding audiences with opposition leaders Anwar Ibrahim, Lim Guan Eng, and Muhammad Sabu. It is understood that the COVID-19 pandemic situation and the ending of the emergency are among the issues expected to be discussed at the meetings.
The video uploaded to Facebook yesterday by Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin's Private Secretary Marzuki Mohamad has sparked some conversations as high up as the UMNO Supreme Council. What have they been talking about? Well, before we go into that, I would like to thank over 60 of you who have graciously contributed to Kini TV in the month of May. To show our appreciation, we'll display your name at the bottom of the screen. For those of you who would like to get your names to appear next month, you can check the link in the description below to become a supporter.
UMNO Supreme Council member Muhammad Puat Zarkashi has questioned Marzuki Mohamad's motive over his video on the National Operation Council, or NOC. In a post on Facebook, Puat questioned why the issue had suddenly been brought up and asked if it was to divert attention from other issues. He added that the video appeared in a format of a special address and questioned if Marzuki was speaking in an individual capacity or representing the Prime Minister. Marzuki is a Principal Private Secretary to Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin. In a 9-minute video aired yesterday, Marzuki made the case against the formation of a NOC similar to the one that ruled the country from 1969 to 1971 after the May 13 riots. He claimed that some people had proposed to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong to form the NOC, which will have absolute power to govern the country as it did during the emergency in 1969. Marzuki added that a civilian government is still functioning and should be defended throughout the period of the emergency. His outburst came a day after the Agong conducted meetings with top political leaders in the country. A number of senior politicians are scheduled to meet the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Abdullah Sultan Ahmad Shah at the Istana Negara today. Meanwhile, DAP Secretary General Lim Guan Eng has speculated that Marzuki's video was an attempt to divert attention from the eroding public confidence in his boss. In a statement, he said that no Pakatan Harapan Party nor any political party for that matter has suggested the formation of a NOC-type government.
In his press conference today, Dr Mahathir also shared his views on when to hold the general election.
There is no indication about the although he did ask whether the election could be held next year or at any time. I pointed out that election would be very dangerous because we have seen what happened in Sabah. You have an election, there will be a spike again.
When do you think election can be held? In 2023 or when is a good time to hold elections? Thank you.
When we achieve herd immunity, that means to say that we have given vaccine to 80% of the people in the country. At that stage, perhaps we are quite safe.
Shellfish, red meat, and beer. If you love indulging in these foods, you may end up with high uric acid level in your blood. These foods consist high level of purine, a substance that will eventually break down into uric acid and be excreted through our urine. It is recommended that the amount of dietary purines should be kept between 600 to 1000 milligrams per day. Having too much uric acid in your blood can cause attacks of gout. It can also cause kidney stones and blockage in the kidney. The crystallization of the excessive uric acid in your blood can be eased by reducing purine-rich food to only 100 to 150 milligrams daily, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and consuming urinary alkalinizer like Ural. It consists of sodium bicarbonate, citric acid, and sodium citrate that increases the urinary pH and solubility of uric acid to prevent crystallization. Best of all, it's lemon-flavored and sugar-free. Ural, effective urinary alkalinizer. Neutralize your uric acid problem now.
With up to 5-figure fines for flouting the standard operating procedures during the MCO, a cabinet minister thinks it is about time the government tries to help people during the lockdown instead of punishing them.
Special Functions Minister Muhammad Rezwan Mat Yusof has called on the government to help the people during the lockdown instead of punishing them. In a phone interview with Malaysia Kini, the Bersatu lawmaker said that the government had to also be clear with their actions. He added that enforcement agencies must be given clear directives during the movement control order. Rezwan gave an example of an individual standing alone in a field without a mask and with no one around them, and questioned if a fine is supposed to be issued or not. He said, things like this have to be made clear. He added that he disagreed with punitive measures, and if the government wanted to take action, it had to be holistic, and they had to address all the issues first. He also supported the suggestion that the government should help provide basic necessities for those who can't afford to put food on the table during the full lockdown. He said this should be done through a targeted approach. For example, in red zones where people are not allowed to leave their house, they could mobilize the Civil Defence Force to distribute basic items like food and cooking gas. And in situations where the people cannot cook, they could initiate what they call Dapur Rakyat, so the people can have decent hot meals. Previously, Mahathir had suggested the government initiate public kitchens to deliver food to homes. Mahathir said that some of those being confined at homes have no money and food. Following this, an NGO that supported the move called for Rezwan to mobilize the CDF, which is under his portfolio. Rezwan holds the portfolio of Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, in charge of special functions, and oversees the National Disaster Management Agency. However, he claimed that despite his portfolio, he was sidelined and no longer invited to the NSC meetings on fighting the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Health Ministry reported 5,671 new cases of COVID-19 today. Nearly half of the new cases were reported in the Klang Valley.
Malaysia recorded 5,671 new COVID-19 cases today. The Klang Valley continued to record the highest number of new cases, with Selangor reporting 1,510 cases and Kuala Lumpur with 769. This was followed by Sarawak with 631 and Negeri Sembilan with 593. Meanwhile, a total of 1,220,939 individuals have received both doses of their vaccination under the National COVID-19 Immunisation Programme as of yesterday. In a post on Twitter, Health Minister Dr Adham Baba added that 2,724,048 individuals have received the first dose of the vaccine, bringing the total number of doses administered to 3.94 million. The immunization program, or NIP, reached a new milestone yesterday after administering 154,866 doses in a single day. Previously, the government aimed to consistently administer 150,000 doses per day in June as more vaccine deliveries reach Malaysia. This is expected to improve to 200,000 doses per day in July.
That's a wrap for Kini News this evening. For more stories, go to kinitv.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook to get the latest headlines there as well. If you would like to support the independent media, do consider a subscription to malaysiakini.com. When you're heading out, don't forget your mask, and when you can, do try to stay home. I'm Daniel Anthony. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe, Malaysia.